I'm Rich Boland, Vice President of Child Welfare here at Northwoods, and this is Human Services Huddle. In today's video, we'll be talking about the incredibly valuable work we as child welfare professionals do when we are in the field. When we head out of our office location, whether that is our home office or otherwise, we understand and appreciate that what we are about to do is to enter someone else's family home. We recognize how careful we must be to respect and appreciate that despite the reason for our presence, this is a family's home. In today's huddle, I'd like to share with you a few ways we can take advantage of technology to support our efforts to minimize how intrusive we may be while promoting a sense of trust with the family we are there to assist. So if you're ready, let's get started. What I'm happy to show you today is the Northwood solution called Traverse. And on your screen right now is our Traverse main landing page. And it's important to start here because what we did with Traverse is Traverse has two major components. There is a web version, which many use as a desktop, and then there's a mobile component. The importance for us to have two different ways to collect content and use information was because those are two distinctly different environments. I don't do the same thing in a home that I do when I'm in the office. So even though I need those two to talk and work together. So I'll be referring back to our web version where you can see where handoffs come in, things like in progress items and that type of stuff I can do when I'm at my home office or another location, satellite location. But what I want to do today is really get to our mobile component of Traverse. So what you see now is Traverse Mobile. Traverse Mobile, I have the ability to put all my cases on there. You can see in the top right, manage sync cases. So I can add a case or remove a case. This is just what I want on my device. For me, I'm using a Microsoft Surface tablet. Many agencies have a one device requirement now. So I like using the Microsoft Surface tablet. I can break the keyboard apart and just use it as a tablet, or I can attach that keyboard and kind of work almost as a laptop if I need to. We see a lot of agencies have a need to say, listen, sometimes I went my day's worth of cases, I need a week's worth, I'm on call, I'm covering for somebody else, so I can add and remove cases as I need to on my mobile component of Traverse. The other thing that's really important that when we made the mobile version of Traverse is in the bottom left-hand corner, you see a status icon that is constantly looking for a signal to sync. So a worker doesn't have to remember to download items or upload items. Traverse is constantly looking for that ability to say, hey, when there's information that needs to be shared between the web version and the mobile component, it's going to do that automatically for the worker. They don't have to remember. As you can see on this top case, there's actually a yellow bar indicating to me as the worker, hey, new content has come in on this case that you haven't looked at or opened yet. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on with mobile. I encourage you to reach out to us. We can talk a lot about what goes on in mobile Traverse. But what I really want to focus on today is how workers are taking advantage of using forms when they go to the field. What's been really important about that is that there are so many forms. We have state forms and there are local forms. We've worked with a number of agencies where it's not surprising that they have anywhere from 400 to 500 forms. Well, as I go out to a family, I have a purpose for going out and doing the home visit. I know what I'm going to meet with the family about. And so I'm going to go ahead and open this case on this top case here, the Jillian May Green case. I open that. And here's all the information that's associated with this case. And what I would like to do today is I'm going to add a form. Because when I go out to the home, I think I'm there to talk to mom about updating her case plan and how she's making progress on some objectives that we've been working. When I get out to the home, mom says, gosh, she has some issues going on with the school. And it'd be really helpful if we could help facilitate some conversation between the family and the school and kind of really show our effort to be advocates for mom trying to do some good work with her kids. So even though I wasn't anticipating that, I'm going to fill out this form for mom. And so I'm going to add a form. And as soon as I click this fill out the form button, it shows I have all of the forms available to me. So again, I can either search through this endless list, seemingly endless list of forms that are available to me, or I can use the search bar and just start typing in, let's say we're going to fill out a release of information for mom today. So because I typed in release, it says, hey, here are all the forms, the 500 forms that you have available to your worker. Here are the ones that our agency has that contain the term release as part of their title. So I'm going to go ahead and open one of those. And so now you can see what you get is a version of this form that has a lot of places for the worker to fill in the information. So what the first thing the form wants to know is who are you filling this form out for? So I'm going to add who this is for. This is for mom, so I'd like to connect her to this form. And I'm going to ask for some information from the mental health facility that they've been working with, so I can send the school some information on the counseling progress that mom's actually been doing. So I added those two things. And so now as I start to go through the form, it says who is the client. Since I've added mom, I can populate her name there. I have check boxes I can fill out. We've had a number of workers ask us that, gosh, sometimes we get forms, sometimes the text is too small, or I don't have enough room to put all the information in I would like. So we had created these text boxes where this area can expand as needed. And we don't want the workers to get tripped up again. If mom's giving me information, she wants this in there, I want to get it just as mom has it in there so I can begin to it. We also added, as you can see, even in that text box, if I have a misspelling or something like that, we're going to catch that for you so the worker can catch that as they go through. Another thing that workers have asked us is, gosh, sometimes our agency forms or our local forms, they might try and include everything on their form. And so they'll have a list of like 15 different names, and the worker goes down and says, but gosh, I only need one, but now this form is 8 pages long because I have all these blank boxes that don't have things. Or in the opposite, they go out and there's only 3 places to put it on 3 children's names, but there's 7 children in the family. So the way that we address that is in these text boxes, I can simply keep creating as many rows as I need and can fill those in there. Again, since I added a provider, I can go ahead and select this is who the provider is. I can select their address, and all this autofills for the worker. The other thing that we've had workers ask us to do is, as you can see in this narrative section, there are places that not only does the form require that the information be below this narrative portion, but they would like to actually see that information represented in that narrative section. So as you can see, it says other request option. It's kind of grayed out and the type is a little bit different. And treatment and payment or other. So I'm going to type in example 1. And as I click out of that box, you'll see that this changes and has filled in up there. The same thing as I go through the form and click out of that box, and it fills in and adjusts all the types. So again, we wanted to make sure that the forms look really professional. These are what we call the data entry version of that, but when I finish that form, it's going to look like the actual form, and I'll show you that here in a quick second. I also have the ability to add signatures. So I'm signing on the screen. You can also use the touchpad, or you can use a mouse, and I can apply the signature there. And we can go through, and these forms are created the way that makes sense to the agency. Since a signature has been added, you can see that all the information that mom has provided is now locked down. I cannot change that information at all. We had workers say, well, gosh, once we got a signature on it, mom remembered something at the last second, and she said, hey, can you change this area? So what I can do is, instead of starting a new form and doing the whole thing over again, I can simply remove mom's signature. It unlocks the form, and now I can go in and correct that spelling. And in fairness to mom, since the information was changed, I got to get her signature again. And the worker is able to continue to work through this form. The last thing that we ask workers to do, that, hey, once you've been able to do this, you got the form completed, what happens next? And they said, well, usually I got to hand this off to my supervisor. So one of the things that we made it really easy to do is we called the button what the workers called it, and we called it a handoff button. So because this form is finished and it's waiting for my supervisor's signature, I can click handoff, select my supervisor name, and off it goes. So now that is on its way. And when I started at the beginning of our huddle and showed you the Traverse web version, my supervisor has that version as well, right? So they're looking at that, and so now they're going to get a notification that, hey, Rich just set something. In fact, it gives me a little note up here in the top right that says, hey, this form was handed off to the supervisor on this date. So there's a whole audit trail that goes on behind the scenes that kind of makes sure that, hey, this is when this form was accessed, this is the pieces of information that were addressed, and this is who it was handed off to and when it was handed off to them. In doing that, I can also realize, like, oh shoot, I didn't get my witness signature there. I can actually take this form back, and here and now I have the form back. I take it back to my supervisor. She doesn't, it's not in her box anymore. And I can add the signature that I need to add here and say, oh, now I remember to do that. Now I can send that on if they want. So a couple other things I want to show you with forms. And so I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Some of the things that we've seen workers want to do a lot, and again, where the difference in the web version and the mobile aspect of Traverse is sometimes I'm doing a form and I don't want to do all that administrative part in front of the family. Again, I'm in someone's home. They're really nervous about why is Child Protective Services there. They have lots of questions. There's a different dialogue that I want to be engaged in, not them watching me fill out a whole bunch of parts of a form. So what I'm able to do is I'm going to switch back over to my web version very quickly and show what I have as in progress items. So this was me working in my home. I had my company slippers on. I was getting ready to do a home visit an hour from now, but I thought I'm going to go ahead and time out this form real quick. So I have my in progress items. I opened this up to show you. Here is the form that I was working on in my web version. I close that out and I'm going to go back over to my mobile, and I bring up my in progress item, and there, sure enough, is the one that I was just working on, as well as the one I'd done earlier. So I bring up this, and I filled out, you can see that this form is completely filled out. All that administrative stuff, all of these fields are all completed. I went ahead and earlier when I was working on this, it added my signatures and put those type of things in. But if you wanted to be able to address this, I'm going to go ahead and take this back so I can say I want to get grandma's signature on this. Here's all the information that's filled out. Grandma agrees that yes, school's an issue. We want to work on helping Molly have good attendance in school. Grandma agrees she didn't have to wait for me to fill out all the stuff that she said you should have known this before you got here. So now grandma can sign. And that form is completed. The next thing that we added to these forms, so even though I started it in a different location, I'm finishing it with grandma. I want grandma to know that since we've been able to finish this form, if I wanted to be able to send this form right off to the school, so they know that hey, we already got grandma engaged. She's already working with us. We got her signature. We did all of our stuff. I want to really build this trust and confidence with grandma that we're going to help Molly with her situation. I can simply just select that document, or if I want multiple documents, there's the service plan, I got records, I got all of these things, and there's that consent. I can click all those things, and I'm just going to say, I'm going to email this. And because I click the email button here at the top, it can say, hey, you selected 4 items that you want to send, and so up pops my email. There's all the documents already attached. I'm not really going to send those, so we'll take those away. But I can send that right to the school, so grandma knows that that information is already there. It's already on its way, and that goes a long way. So again, we talked at the beginning. There's some things that if you have a connection, something, but I can work on those forms whether I'm in the office or in the home. But I can send those, and as soon as there's a connection, it can even be there holding. Once I get that connection, it's going to send those things on. The last thing I'm going to show you with forms is what we call copy and create. There's a number of times, I'm going to go ahead and select this adoption service plan. So this adoption service plan was actually a form that was completed a long time ago. It has a lot of information that's largely history, and has the identifying information, the reason that the case was open, the things that we've worked on, the progress made to date, and all those type of things. This is a very long form, and a lot of times, especially in my experience, we would have to update court frequently. So what I would do is every time we had a court date, every 30 days, every 60 days, I would get this form out and I would complete this form from beginning to end over and over and over again, even though what I wanted to change or address was really, really small. So what I'm going to do is, because this is an old form, it was completed, it's already part of the case record, it's documented, it's archived, it's part of that content. What I want to be able to do is simply copy this and make this a brand new form, make a whole new form out of my old form. Because I hit copy and create, here is that form with every single thing that I filled in previously already completed. All of that's done. I can simply go down to that section 4 where there was a previous court date, and I need to update that. So the it said the next court date was 11/19. Well, that's now the previous court date. So we're going to go ahead and make that change. And we're going to add our upcoming court date of May 28th. Those are the only things I needed to change in the form. Now, if I needed to do any of the other typing, or if this required signatures, I got to get the signatures because this is a brand new form. But I can do all that here without having to do all that administrative stuff over again. So again, these were a number of really quick items that we do with forms in the field. We see so many, especially today when people are working remotely. They need everything at their fingertips, regardless of what that may be, where they may go, whatever situation that is created as a result of their home visit. So wanted to just kind of give you a sneak peek of the way we see a lot of workers taking advantage of technology and complete in the way that forms are completed in the field. So social workers from all over the country share with us how these different situations require unique responses. So when we're working alongside these frontline workers to better understand how things work, we routinely hear, well, it depends. And so we tried to create, and hopefully what you're able to see is the ability for forms to work in a mobile environment, regardless of what situation or environment that these workers are walking through. So hopefully this helped provide you with some insight and ideas regarding how we can take advantage of today's technology to accommodate these unique situations that workers are finding themselves in, while emphasizing the sensitivity and respect that we set out to show each time that we're in a child's home. My name is Rich Boland, and thanks for tuning in to today's Northwoods Human Services Huddle.